The announcement by Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition that there will be no demonstrations on Wednesday has been met with mixed reactions by Kenyans. Our senior reporter Alice Diana spoke to a section of Nairobi residents and business people on their views on the cancellation of the anti-government demonstrations and filed for us the following report.
Kenyans have expressed mixed reactions after Azimio la Umoja called off this week's demonstrations against the high cost of living that were scheduled to happen on Wednesday, as had been announced previously. The demos were to happen 4 days after last week's 3 days protests that rocked various parts of the country. In the wake of the highly charged protests, several people died and others were left nursing injuries of varied magnitudes. In a statement on Monday, Azimio noted that so far, there are at least 50 deaths and hundreds admitted in hospitals with grave injuries. With this in mind, the Azimio team says tomorrow, Wednesday, the 26th of July, they will hold a different kind of protest. They have asked Kenyans to hold a countrywide vigil for the citizens who lost their lives during the past protests by lighting candles and laying flowers, preferably white in color, in remembrance and respect for the victims. The peaceful protest turned vigil are expected to take place in various locations in all parts of the country. Additionally, Azimio said that on Wednesday, they will also roll out the process of reaching out to families of the victims with a view to offering any assistance that can lessen their burden. We spoke with a section of Kenyans who welcomed the move to call off the demos, citing that the demos had greatly affected their businesses, hence should be stopped completely.
Kwa maoni yangu, mimi naweza sema imesaidia sana sababu mambo hajakuwa ikienda vizuri, especially kwa watu wa pikipiki kama sisi. Sababu kama kesho ulikuwa unakuja huna kazi na unatoka saa zingine mbali, unatumia mafuta bure, unakuja hapa unakaa hakuna kazi, unaenda nyumbani bila kitu. Wednesday imekuwa challenge sana kwa sababu ya mambo ya maandamano. So mimi naweza sema kuadhirishwa kwa maandamano usiku ya kesho imetusaidia, na pia imesaidia pia wanabiashara wengine kama mimi, wanabiashara wadogo kama mimi.
Tumeumia, nchi saa hii inaumia sana, pesa hatuna. Mtu wa chini kama mimi saa hii sina pesa. Watu wa juu wako na pesa saa hii. Unaona mtu wa chini kama mimi, maandamano ikiwa unaona ni siku 2 ndio unaunda pesa, siku 3 inisaidii. Juu watu wa chini tunaumia. Lakini hao wajua wametulia, wanasema maandamano na waendi, lakini si watu wa chini wanasema maandamano tunatokea na watu wanakataa kwenda kazi, so hatupati kazi. So tunaumia sana. So kama rais anaweza tusikiza, atusikize watu wa chini, asisikize watu wa juu.
Sasa upande wa kampuni sioni pia kuna uzuri, maana ikianza tunafukuzwa, na pia kazi yangu pia nimekuwa sasa kila maandamano ikianza naona kutatizika, hatufungui kwa hizo siku zote. Sasa inakuwa ni shida, ile pesa umepata kidogo pia inabidi unaanza tena kuitumia. Sasa hapo changamoto tena kwangu hapo mimi naona ziko. Kama inaweza kuwa ni kusitishwa, isitishwe kwa sababu hakuna kitu yoyote, si kama watu wa chini tunapata. Security hatuna, kama pale mahali mimi niko hakuna security, inabidi nifunge kwa sababu hata ule jirani pia anafikiria kukupora kwa sababu ya kupata hiyo advantage. Kwa hivyo hiyo maandamano mimi sioni maana.
Others said they support the protest since they feel it is the only way that President William Ruto and his government can hear them and reduce the high cost of living. However, they felt once a week would suffice for the protests.
Maisha yanatupeleka mbaya sana, hasa vitu viko juu, tuko na watoto, tunashindwa tutakaa aje. Ngawa hii maandamano tungeomba isikuwe kila siku, pia na tunaadhirika upande wa kazi. So naomba kama sisi wa Kenya tunateseka sana. Ningependa rais ashukishe vitu ziko juu sana, mpaka tunashindwa kuishi. Maisha yamekuwa juu hata tuwezi kuyaweza, tunashindwa tutaishi aje.
The government has continued to condemn the opposition protests, saying they are leading to the destruction of properties, loss of lives and living scores nursing injuries, with President William Ruto saying demonstrating against the government will not put food on the table. The anti-government protests that have been taking place in several counties began on March 20th this year. With the Azimio la Umoja team having called off their demonstrations for this week, Kenyans are now waiting to see when they will call for their next demonstrations. This even as a section of business people continue to lament that their businesses are affected during the maandamano days. Alice Diana for Hope TV News Watch in Nairobi County.
Thank you so much, Alice, for that report. We also do apologize for the slight technical hitch at the beginning of this broadcast. My name is Kennedy Kimani, and Boniface Muriithi is the sign language interpreter. Now, moving on, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights says it is engaged in the investigations and accountability of human rights violation and abuses alleged to have occurred during the anti-government protest called by the opposition. Addressing the press today, KNCHR chairperson Rosalind Odede said that human rights cannot be suspended and are not optional but must be observed by all people and institutions in all places and at all times.
The Kenya Constitution in Article 25 guarantees the right to freedom from torture and other cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment or punishment. The Commission has received reports of torture and abuse, wanton beating of persons, even after surrender, indiscriminate tear gassing of residences and schools, and there have been heart-rending images on mainstream media and social media platforms. The Commission also urges the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, to hasten its investigations into the allegations of torture and ensure perpetrators face appropriate legal action. Article 49 requires arrested persons to be brought to court as soon as reasonably possible, but not later than 24 hours after being arrested. However, there have been reports of delays and denial of justice for those arrested, including the denial of bail at the point of arrest as provided in Article 49.
Now, former Mungiki leader Maina Njenga has been released on 100,000 shillings cash bail. Njenga, together with Peter Kamunyu and Felix Lakishe, are facing charges of 5 counts of preparing to commit a felony and trafficking narcotic drugs. They were arrested on Wednesday night last week at Kiserian, Kajiado County, for allegedly being part of the organizers of the anti-government demonstrations, which were set to take place on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday last week in Nairobi and other parts of the country. The Kilifi County Assembly Ad Hoc Committee has recommended that relevant authorities to take appropriate action to institute disciplinary measures against all the government officials whose acts aided in the Shakahola massacre. While presenting their report to the Senate Committee on Shakahola, the Kilifi County Assembly Ad Hoc Committee noted that most of the affected families were not indigenous members of Kilifi County. As Tess Njenga now reports, the committee also recommended that the government comes up with a regulatory body to oversee the registration and conduct of religious institutions.
There was no regulatory framework on religious activities. There was also abuse of freedom of worship from the Article 32 of our Constitution.
4 months since the commencement of the investigation on deaths that occurred at the Chakama Ranch in Shakahola, the number of deaths from the starvation cult is still on the increase. While presenting their findings and recommendations to the Senate Committee on Shakahola, chaired by Tana River Senator Danstan Mungatana, on the matter, the County Assembly of Kilifi Ad Hoc Committee suggested that the bodies that continue to be exhumed are part of the 613 people reported missing or unaccounted by intelligence reports. They have asked the national government to establish a police station at Shakahola and also a memorial center to bury bodies rejected by their families.
Memorial Park at Shakahola, not only for the display of the names of the victims, but also burial of the exhumed bodies that maybe we didn't find the owners, or they were rejected by the community.
That memorial park should have the names of all the victims, and it will be a reminder not only to Kilifi County and the residents there in terms of sensitization, but a reminder to the entire Kenya nation that radicalization can happen in religion.
The County Assembly of Kilifi Ad Hoc Committee has further recommended that relevant authorities such as EACC, IPOA, ODPP, the Judicial Service Commission, among others, take appropriate action to institute disciplinary measures to all the government officials whose acts aided in the Shakahola massacre.
Most of these victims did come from Kilifi County. A big percentage came from upcountry, and we believe there are some people who are helping Mackenzie in bringing in these victims. We were also unable to establish why intelligence agencies failed until it became a national disaster. We were also unable to know whether all bodies exhumed were followers of Mackenzie, or maybe they died somewhere else, and maybe the Shakahola forest was used as a dumping site.
The committee also recommended that the government comes up with a regulatory body to oversee the registration and conduct of religious institutions to guarantee Article 27(6) of the Constitution.
There should be a religious body that is going to regulate these churches, maybe on academic levels, or maybe on a certain mechanism should be put in place.
The committee has decried the laxity and inaction of law enforcement agencies and the judiciary, which it says made it possible for controversial Paul Mackenzie, who is at the center of the incident, to engage in religious extremism without much interference.
Kiangalia Kilifi kama county ama kama gatuzi, ni gatuzi moja ambalo liko na mashaka mengi sana, mbali na hili la Shakahola. Mwanzo masuala ya njaa, umaskini umekithiri, na unajua ule umaskini ndio pia ukiangalia kwa undani utapata ni sababu mojawapo ambayo inafanya hawa watu wetu kuweza kupatikana kirahisi sana.
They also recommended that the community be sensitized on community policing and reporting unusual occurrences and suspicious persons within their vicinity to relevant authorities. The Kilifi County Assembly Ad Hoc Committee that was investigating the Shakahola massacre has today presented its findings and recommendation to the Senate Ad Hoc Committee on Shakahola at the KICC. Among the key recommendations from the committee is that an extensive mass of land needs to be allocated to a memorial site at Chakama Ranch, lest we forget what happened in Shakahola. Reporting for Hope TV News Watch from KICC Nairobi, I'm Tess Njenga.
Thank you so much, Tess, for that report. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has said that the government will do everything in its power to get rid of bandits in the Rift Valley. Speaking today in Elgeyo Marakwet County, CS Kindiki said he will not relent in the crackdown on armed criminals in the 6 North Rift Valley counties or allow bandits flushed out to regroup. Kindiki further added that security agents in the Maliza Uhalifu operation will continue to remain on the ground for long term. The 6 bandit-prone counties in the region include Turkana, West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, Laikipia, and Samburu.
Hii shida hii ya ugaidi na uhalifu tutaimaliza Kenya hii. Hakuna shida ambayo haina mwisho. Hapa kwetu Rift Valley, watu wachache ambao ni wakora wametesa wananchi walio wengi, wananchi wapenda amani, wameteswa na majambazi na wakora kwa miaka mingi. Na siku ya mateso imeisha. Wale watu wote ambao wamejifanya wajeuri na kazi yao ni wizi wa ng'ombe, wizi wa mifugo, kuua wananchi kiholela, kutojali sheria, serikali hii ambayo imeongozwa na Mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto imeamua ndiyo itakuwa serikali ya kumaliza kutoka Kenya hii shida na aibu ya uhalifu na kutojali sheria.
Now, the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation is planning to commit over 300 billion shillings towards the Water 10,000 initiative, according to estimates from the National Water Master Plan 2030. Water demand is projected to rise significantly by 2030, underscoring the need for more investment. Presently, Kenya's total water reservoir storage capacity is below the recommended threshold, leaving millions underserved. The ministry aims to provide water to 6.1 million households and address sanitation needs for 1.7 million households.
For the residents, due to blasting and other mining activities that are involved, we have experienced destruction of properties, we have experienced dust, we have experienced harm affecting our animals. And so the residents have been requesting our intervention and the intervention of the government to ensure that their livelihoods and their properties is protected. And the coming of the PS today is an assurance that their properties will be protected. His coming together with his team has been a big boost to us as the residents of Mbiri. They have also taken the time to educate us matters relating mining and how, as the local community, we are supposed to benefit from that activity.
What we are doing as a government, we want to put them together, those artists in mining people. They form cooperative so that they can be issued with a permit as a cooperative, and they access the many benefits that can be accessed by being in a cooperative.
Well, on that note, it's time for a quick breather here on Newswatch. But after the break, I'll be back with everything you need to know in the world of business and sports. Stick around.
Hope TV is where you look and live, with an excellent selection of the best Christian programming consisting of local and international content of inspirational stories, talk shows, Bible commentary, youth, health shows, children entertainment, contemporary gospel music, extended times of worship, live broadcast, news, movies, drama, Christian ministry programs, and so much more. Hope TV is another quality service from Christ is the Answer Ministries, with over 45% of authentic and credible local content every week. Hope TV is a sister station to Hope FM, Kenya's leading Christian radio station, with footprints across the country. Tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Arise each morning to a moment of worship. Arise each morning to a moment of worship. And powerful nuggets from God's word.
If there is one big thing that is needed in our time, is the ability to hear God's voice and apply his word.
We can put our faith on Christ, just like this centurion, and believe, Lord, let your word turn this situation.
God does not definitely tell you, I am coming in 6 months. I am coming 1 year.
On Hope Devotion every Monday to Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. only on Hope TV. Look and live.
Welcome back. Now let's get down to business. President William Ruto has today officially opened the Rome Park Electric Motorcycle Assembly Plant in the capital city, Nairobi. Speaking during the event, the head of state said the government is on track to develop and implement electric motorcycles that will provide affordable and eco-friendly transportation, adding that the government's goal is to encourage the adoption of clean energy alternatives.
katika makadirio ya mapato, pesa karibu shilingi bilioni 1 inapatikana kila siku kutokana na biashara ya bodaboda. Kumaanisha inafikia familia nyingi kupata chakula, kusomesha watoto wao na kufanya kazi zingine ambazo zinatusaidia kama taifa. Na kwa sababu hiyo ndio tumeweka mpango maalum ya mambo ya bodaboda. Na sio bodaboda peke yake. E-mobility, magari, pikipiki, mabasi pia ambayo itakuwa inatumia stima.
In the last 4 months, this industry has employed 4,000 people. You know, that is what we had at the briefing. Yet to produce bikes chache sana, kuna potential hapa. Our biggest problem today in Nairobi and in the country ni vijana ambao hawana kazi. It is millions of disengaged, disillusioned young people who are educated. Umesikia story ya the ones who are working here. A degree in supply chain management, yule msichana ambaye wanafanya batteries, she knows what to do, but the opportunities have not been there. These opportunities for young people will not create themselves. Lazima ipangwe. It must be worked on. And this is one of the ways that we're doing it. So we really support Your Excellency for taking the lead in creating employment for our young people, and we will do our part as a county.
The motorcycles that you see here are robust, they are affordable, they have 0 emissions, and they're fully assembled from the ground up at this facility. Ultimately, Your Excellency, this is a motorcycle that's been specifically designed and made to be relevant for boda boda and other commercial users who are the backbone of the transportation sector in this country.
Moving on, and the Kenya Industry and Entrepreneurship Project has launched an industry academia platform dubbed I-Tatu that will bring students and industry together to increase productivity and digital transformation. Our very own Melissa Oduor brings us that story.
The launch of I-Tatu brand, which stands for Ideate, Innovate and Implement, comes at the back of the increasing need for college and university students to bring relevant skills to the job market. This thanks to the rapidly evolving 21st century job market that requires an equally innovative mind and skill set to remain relevant in the highly competitive workspace.
Innovate and implement.
It is with this in mind that the Kenya Industry and Entrepreneurship Project KIP has launched I-Tatu, an innovative platform that is creating a link between industry and academia. The initiative is by the government through the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry and the World Bank Group, bringing together relevant industry players and government departments.
It's basically a project driven by State Department for Industry within the Ministry of Investments, Trade and Industry. It's a partnership between the government of Kenya and the World Bank. As we move forward, this is a $15 million initiative, basically driving the government agenda in terms of supporting the implementation of medium-term plans. The government plans priorities, that is a bottom-up economic transformation agenda.
The $5 million industry academia platform will be implemented by the Maastricht School of Management, MSM, and aims to increase productivity of Kenyan corporates by linking them to students who will in turn execute challenges posed by the corporates and deliver innovative solutions.
But we are getting 20% manufacturing contribution to GDP against a declining contribution. The contribution of manufacturing to GDP has declined from 12% in 2011 to just 7.24% in 2022. We do think we are going to offer compelling value proposition. We have students, companies, government, university, bring all these players together in one platform because all of them have different interests. We are getting 20% manufacturing contribution to GDP against a declining contribution. The contribution of manufacturing to GDP has declined from from 12% in 2011 to just 7.24% in 2022.
The innovations are expected to drive the productivity of Kenyan corporates and increase the participating companies' competitiveness.
Performance management, which brings all these things together, groups people in natural working teams, has a way of tracking problems and solving those problems. How do they select the right tool for the right problem?
We know that our higher education creates the necessary human capital for the rest of the sectors. Therefore, it is necessary when we have such an approach to think alongside bridging the gap between the academia and the industry.
And as the country continues to grapple with high numbers of unemployed youth, it is also hoped that the innovation will contribute to job creation by exposing the students to real-life problems and opportunities.
Innovation challenges. So these are the people that I'm working with to make sure that this platform reaches out to everyone, so that we want to be very inclusive, so that no university in this country will miss out on the many opportunities.
The bottom-up economic transformation agenda of the government, let's support the program. The good thing with the United Nations, it came up with all the problems that affect the world. They gave us 17 goals in 2015. They gave the targets. Goal 9, which is very relevant to today's meeting, that is the industry, innovation, and infrastructure. And by the way, all the goals, we are supposed to solve problems in all that appear in all the 17 goals.
For Hope TV News Watch, I'm Melissa Odor.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for that report. Now, Kenyan technology company Boya has launched its virtual expense card in partnership with Visa and Diamond Trust Bank Kenya, which will help businesses to manage payments and expenses with one virtual card solution. The Boya platform is designed to streamline and revolutionize expense tracking and reporting for businesses of all sizes. And the inaugural African Conference on Agricultural Technology will take place in Nairobi from the 30th of October to the 3rd of November this year. Making the announcement, the Principal Secretary in the State Department for Crop Development, Okello Harsama, said Kenya will be the first country to host the iconic ACAT conference that comes as the Kenya Kwanza government emphasizes agriculture as a key sector under the 5 pillars of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda.
Agriculture remains a key sector and is one of the 5 pillars in the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda. The strong emphasis by the government on economic transformation, 2 million poor farmers will be transformed into surplus producers through access to affordable inputs, intensive agricultural extension support, and linkages to markets. This is an important forum, and we look forward to discussing actionable solutions to the challenges facing the agricultural sector that will also drive change and foster growth.
This week on Testify.
You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you. You'll be witnesses to the ends of the earth. The strength to push. All I was thinking is, my life is not progressing. Life is not progressing. What do I need to do? I need money. I need money. And so because of that, I fell into temptation ya kutafuta do. I signed a record deal, and for a year in 2019, I sang secular music. I got a lot of backlash. Trended in Twitter. I was like, people even know me. You're serious, you guys? Watch her. You actually know me. You actually what?
Only on Hope TV. Look and live.
With power, you will receive power.
And to some sports in action now, FKF Premier League side AFC Leopards have confirmed the appointment of Tom Juma as their new head coach. In a club statement dated today, Juma takes the mantle as at the Den following the resignation of Patrick Ausems a few weeks ago. Juma has been serving as the assistant head coach at the local Giants for a while and will be assisted by former Wazito and Nakumatt FC head coach Fred Ambani. And finally, Nottingham Forest, a photo of competition from Everton, among others, to complete the signing of Anthony Elanga from Manchester United in a £15 million deal. Elanga, who has signed a 5-year contract, is Forest's second summer signing after the former Chelsea defender Ola Aina was a free agent after leaving Torino. The 21-year-old Sweden forward scored 3 goals across 39 Premier League appearances for the Red Devils, but did not register a single goal last season. And with that, we come to the end of our news tonight. On behalf of the whole team that made this bulletin a success, we do appreciate your time. Have yourself a blessed night. My name is Kennedy Kimani, and Boniface Murithi has been the sign language interpreter.